Good afternoon. This is the Livingston Parish Council meeting. Today is January the 9th, 2020. Today is just a few minutes after 6:30 p.m. All right. Invocation will be by Mr. Jeff Ard tonight. Call this meeting to order. Actually, we'll call it.
All right. I got us a special person who'll say a prayer for us since this is last council. I asked Mr. Lobel if he would do the honor.
Yes, sir. If y'all bow with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. We just thank you for the freedoms that we so often take for granted, Lord. We just ask that you be with our country, the leaders of our country, Lord, as they've got some decisions to make. We just ask that they look to you for the guidance and the discernment in those decisions so you could point them in the right direction. Lord, we thank you for everyone here in this building, their willingness to be a part of this meeting, and the ones up front that are their willingness to serve, Lord. And we just ask also for your guidance on everything we do. Thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for the blessings that you continually send our way that we often don't give you credit for. We just thank you for everything you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Mr. Bubba, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was I supposed to end that with Go Tigers?
Go home.
All right. Agenda item number 5. Oh, call for roll.
Mr. Ard.
Where you at?
Me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes,
Mr.
here.
Mack.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Lobel.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Egan.
Here.
All present.
For the last time, you heard that. I'm here.
So, agenda item number 5. This is the election of the officers. Every year, we elect a new chair and co-chair. And we do that annually, and worked out well for us. But it's looking like that we probably need to not do that tonight for the home rule charter requirements. We need to wait for the newly elected councilman to be a part of that decision. And so we have decided, at least I think we have, that we are going to do that this coming Sunday. And that'll be the 12th of January. And we're going to do that at 2:15 p.m. this coming Sunday, January the 12th. The only question I have about that is, do they have to be sworn in first before they can vote? So we're going to have to actually change that time.
Chris, I thought we agreed that the signing of the oath was actually made on the councilman, that the swearing.
They have to at least execute their oaths of office before they start taking any official act. The charter says they take office on the first Monday meeting, but you wouldn't be asking them to take any votes except for the selection of the officer. So it's kind of a gray area, I suppose, but I'm not so sure who would challenge it. I know it's trying to accommodate the fact that your possible candidates may not be here for the next meeting. So,
Look, you can just do it 3:30.
Just call it for 3:30.
That way we
Okay.
know it's good, everybody's sworn in.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to call for a special meeting at 3:30 on January the 12th to elect the Livingston Parish Council officers, more specifically the chair and co-chair. And that's it. And that's going to be, like I said, at 3:30. And if for some reason that this happens to, I guess you could say, be against the home rule charter in the next day or two, I mean, we have the right to cancel that, right? Within how much time? Say that again?
The time of the meetings, did anybody want to discuss changing the time? times of the meetings. Why all
Tonight, right now, change the time of the meetings? No,
At the special
I don't want
meeting.
to talk about that.
No, it's a special meeting, we're gonna swear them in, and that's it.
Okay, so anyway, that's the deal with that. We're gonna move on to agenda item number 6. Do we need a motion to have that special meeting and to vote on that special meeting? We just call for that special meeting. Chair can do that. Okay, all right. All right, let's talk about cell phones. We would ask that everybody silence their cell phones so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. Public input. Anybody wishing to address any of the agenda items, as that agenda item comes up, what you simply do is just raise your hand. And then what we do is we call upon you and we try to go in order, and then you come up to the podium and you state your name and your address, and then you talk about what you'd like to talk about. And we try to limit everybody to 3 minutes, so that the meeting doesn't last past bedtime. Agenda item number 8, this is presentations. We have Tabitha Lobel, Springfield High School Ducks Unlimited Chapter and Banquet here to talk tonight.
All right, so my name is Blake Arsenault, and I am the head of recruitment for the Ducks Unlimited chapter in Springfield High School. So I know that whenever I first joined the Ducks Unlimited chapter, I thought that it was just a bunch of guys that were just duck hunting all the time, raise money for duck hunting, but it's actually way more bigger than that, and it's a great purpose. Since the 1990s, the Ducks Unlimited in Louisiana has spent $130 million towards the wetland conservation program, and that is huge because, as you know, our wetlands are eroding and certain things like that, and so waterfowl in this area are being greatly impacted. Ducks Unlimited is one of the top nonprofits, and they put in 85 cents for every dollar that they make towards the wetland conservation program. And I know that since I've joined, it has really raised my awareness of the problems that come with the wetlands being eroded and how waterfowl are being greatly impacted. So with that comes way more opportunities that Blake Lobel is about to explain.
I'm Blake Lobel. I'm a sophomore at Springfield High School. I'm the treasurer for the Ducks Unlimited chapter. I'm here to talk about a recent field trip we went on. We went to Mr. Joey and Miss Kate Fondo's farm and learned about firearm safety and shot skeets and got to interact with some of the Tancho deputies and Living Parish deputies. It was a really great time. We got to spend some time outdoors, and it's something that a lot of kids these days don't get to do, go out and shoot skeet with some deputies. And it was really fun. We're planning to do another one after the banquet.
Hi, I'm Tabitha Lobel. I'm a senior at Springfield High School, and I'm the donation chair for the Ducks Unlimited Club. I'm going to speak to you all about scholarship opportunities for seniors in Ducks Unlimited. So we are the only high school chapter in the state of Louisiana. So with that comes more scholarship opportunities for the seniors that are trying to go to big schools such as LSU, anywhere they want to go to get college paid for. So the money spent at the banquets, a portion of that goes into scholarship funds that will be given out to seniors. And since the money is being spent in Louisiana for the banquets, since we're the only chapter, high school chapter, we are more likely to get those scholarships since we have a chapter at our high school.
Hoorah!
He doesn't want to pay for it. But yeah, so if you apply for the scholarships, since we have a home chapter, we're more likely to get those scholarships.
Hi, I'm Blair Simon. I'm a senior at Springfield High, and I'm going to talk to you about the banquet. So the Ducks Unlimited banquet is a night where the community and many other people can come together. We feed you a really nice dinner. It's lots of fun, and there are many things you can win. We have a silent auction, a live auction, and raffles. So I'm going to tell you the ticket prices and the table options. Students are $20, adults are $40, a couple is $60, youth is $15, and that's 12 and under, and sponsorship is $300. The Bullpup table is $500, and that includes an entry for 8, a DU table gift for 8, and a 1-year membership for 8 people. The VIP Bulldog gun table is $1,250. Sorry. That gives you a table for 8, a 1-year membership for 8 people, 1 bronze sponsorship for the table buyer, 8 DU table gifts, and a choice of item from the Sportsman's raffle banner. That's back here, and I'll leave it for y'all to look at if you'd like. It has a variety of guns, gift cards, grill options, and many other items. So if you get that table option, you get to pick anything on here, and you automatically get it. The banquet is really important, and it has lots of positive benefits for many people, especially us. So it allows the community to come together. People from Springfield, Livingston Parish, and a lot of other high-class people, and just people from everywhere can come together for this amazing experience. It's really great for us because it gives us the opportunity to be leaders and to plan this. It gives us a lot of responsibility, but we're going to need that in the future, especially seniors who are planning to go off and go to college. It preps us. It's really good for connections. Business owners can meet other people who can connect with them and help them grow their businesses together. It also helps seniors and any other students who are going to be looking for a job in this field or any job in particular in the future. It allows us to make those connections early on so we can grow together. The main reason we have this banquet is to raise money for Ducks Unlimited. Every dollar we receive from this banquet turns into $4 or $5 that gets put automatically on the ground. So that's going to be conservation, specifically for waterfowl. Ducks Unlimited isn't just about hunting and fishing, it's about preserving the environment for future hunters and fishers and everyone else alike. I'm really into conservation, and I think our wetlands are a beautiful place and something that Louisiana is remembered for. So having Ducks Unlimited preserve that is just going to give us a wonderful future, and it helps teach the kids who might not understand fully what it's all about and how Louisiana is so great because of that. It also helps us get scholarships, which is really important for seniors. So that's all. Thank you. And I'll leave
you.
this for
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. And I'd like to say something. I would like to say the Springfield High School must be an exceptionally well school because all of y'all spoke so clearly, so intelligently. Y'all did an outstanding job talking about Ducks Unlimited. And you inspired me, and I'm going to write the date down. I'm going to try to come up with some money to go to that banquet. I appreciate y'all very, very much.
It's February 8th.
What day? What day?
I'm out. I can't do it.
She gets that from her mama, Shane. She gets that from her mama.
Yeah, she's gotta be.
Okay, so agenda item number 9, adoption of the minutes. This is adoption of the minutes of the December 5th, 2019 Juban Crossing Economic Development District. Do we have a motion? Can we do all of them even though it's different districts, different stuff?
Nobody objects.
Okay, there's no objection? All right, we need a motion to adopt the minutes from the December 5th Juban Crossing meeting, the December 5th regular meeting of the council, and the December 19th regular meeting of the council. Is there a motion? There's a motion by Jeff Averitt, second by Bubba Harris. Is there any discussion from the audience? No? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? All right. Okay. At this time, we're going to move up agenda item number 12, the Planning Commission and recommendations. Mr. Sam D. Geronimo is a very important man for the Livingston Parish administration, and we'd like to honor his request to move him up the agenda.
Well, I appreciate that, Shane, but I ain't gonna get you. Okay, guys. First on the agenda is commercial development. This is an AT&T mobility preliminary site plan. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to send the preliminary site plan for AT&T mobility to the parish council. We had the commission had a few questions, and you know, it's left up to you guys whether or not you want to do it. I mean, it's nothing, you know, it's just required a few waivers, we thought. But we're going to leave it up to our governing body of the parish to decide, you know, if we should move forward with this thing. And I think we have somebody here that would like to talk, that supports, I mean, that is affiliated with AT&T.
Yep, and I'd like to say just a few things, you know. One is that area where this tower is going desperately needs some type of tower up there, because the people up north of 63 and up 1036, they struggle to have service up there.
No service.
Internet, all types of service. Now that being said, you know, we still would like to, you know, make sure that things are done in safety and protect the safety and welfare of the people of this parish. So that being said, you state your name and all that good wonderful stuff.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Chip Lyons, 201 St. Charles Avenue, New Orleans, and I'm here on behalf of AT&T Wireless. So AT&T is proposing to put a new cell tower in this area off of Highway 1036, and as you guys just mentioned, it's an area where there's really, you know, for AT&T, kind of spotty coverage at best. So this map shows current coverage, and each of these blue dots is a tower. The red area is best coverage, that's in-house coverage. The yellow areas are in-car coverage, and the green areas are outdoor coverage. So it's a significant coverage gap here. If this tower is placed into service, you get several miles of indoor coverage and much better coverage in this area. The tower, as you probably know, over half of the households in the country are now wireless only. Over 500,000 calls a day to 911 throughout the country are made on mobile devices. So having in-home cell service is not, it's sort of an expected utility, and it's also a public safety issue. This tower is a 355-foot guide tower, so it'll have guy wires supporting it. It'll have AT&T at the top. It's also designed to have up to 4 additional carriers on there, and it's designed to be a part of AT&T's FirstNet system. FirstNet system is a nationwide first responders system for first responders only. AT&T got the nationwide contract to construct that system. So this tower is important both for providing data and cell service to both to residents and also to AT&T's first responder network. The issue that came up at the Planning Commission that gave them some pause is that we require a setback variance for this tower. So the tower is 355 feet high. It's got guy wires that will be designed to meet hurricane force winds and designed to meet code requirements. The way the parish's telecom ordinance is set up, which is not, you know, unusual, is that it says that a tower has to be set back tower height plus 30 feet from the nearest property line. In this case, this tower is about where there's Weyerhaeuser property to the south. That's just forest. That's forested area. It's about 240 feet from there. To the west of the tower is Highway 1036. The tower, again, is going to be 355 feet high. It's 290 feet from the right-of-way, from the edge of the right-of-way for the highway. But the highway itself, the asphalt portion, is about another 50 feet from the edge of the DOTD right-of-way. So the tower itself would be it's a 355-foot tower. It would be about 340 feet from the road itself. And we've submitted this with our application. Towers are designed, and again, even though most ordinances have setback requirements that sort of assume a tower will fall like a tree, someone chops it down and it comes straight down. Towers are designed, whether it's this type of tower or other towers, to either if there's a structural failure, to either bend or to collapse on itself. So this tower, even though it's 355 feet high, we have a letter from structural engineers saying that if there is some type of structural failure, the tower is designed to collapse on itself and basically fall. It's in a 100 by 100 foot compound area, fenced off area. It's designed to fall within that area. So again, it's unlikely that there'd be any kind of structural issue with the tower. If there is, it's designed to come down on itself. If for whatever reason that didn't happen, it's still 340 feet from the roadway, and there are guy wires and in a heavily wooded area between the tower and the roadway. So the chance of the tower coming down in the first place, not coming down the way it's designed, and coming down on the roadway seem fairly remote. DOTD has given a curb cut permit because we'll need a curb cut off the highway to get access to the tower compound. They're aware that the tower is going there. Their position, and it's been communicated to the parish engineers, and my understanding, because they've communicated it directly to the parish engineers, is that it's not in the public right of way, so it's not their issue. And I'd also point out that if you think about state highways, there are probably thousands of utility poles and other structures that are within the public right of way, and you drive by them every day. This tower would be 340 feet from the road. So based on that, we're hopeful that you guys would grant the variance to allow the tower to go in that location. The landowner wanted the tower to be even closer to the road. AT&T said no, that wasn't going to work, and so we've moved it back as far away from the road as the landowner would allow. AT&T is not Clico or Entergy in these situations. They can't go just take someone's property. We have to find a landowner who agrees to lease to AT&T. This landowner has agreed to lease to AT&T, but they've said that this is as far back from the road as they would let AT&T go, so that's why we're here requesting the waiver.
Did you get a letter of no objection from the neighboring property owner that you're too close to at this point in time? Gotten that yet?
No, the neighboring property owner to the south is Weyerhaeuser. We could, if you guys would like that as a condition to the permit, we could do that. I actually do legal work for Weyerhaeuser. I haven't gone and asked them on this. But again, it's heavily forested area. I don't anticipate there'd be an issue. We could ask them for that if that's something you guys would like us to do.
And Sam, you said the state didn't care
They, Chad, if you want to kind of.
And I'm sorry, I can also show you real quick
That's okay.
where the tower location is. So here's that's the tower location. Here's my land.
I don't think the state really had a concern in the distance. Now, that's hard for me to believe because they're so dot your I's and cross your T's. But, and I understand they've got a lot of telephone poles within it, right? But you guys won't prove it. So,
But yeah, Sam, I think you were pretty close. I think DOT just said it wasn't in there right away, so they had no jurisdiction on it. It wasn't, wasn't something getting built in the right away. Hey, you got to get a permit for that. They did get a permit to get the side drain pipe and the driveway to the site. They did get that from DOT. But we reached out to DOT and said, hey guys, you got any issues with this? And they said it's not our jurisdiction to even comment on it. So, they worry about subdivisions that are a quarter mile away, but I guess they don't worry about the cell towers that are within a couple hundred feet. So.
It looks like yeah. I mean, I think we ought to grant conditionally on the neighboring property owner if the state's really commented that they don't care. But given the fact that we just got a little structural engineering lesson on the towers, maybe we need to really take a look at our telecommunication ordinance and address the fact that if they're designed to fall within a certain area, if that's the design, then we probably need to look at addressing our ordinance in the future to say that area of design needs to be outside of right of way.
And that was really all about my concern because it didn't follow our ordinance.
Right.
So that's why commission wanted to send it to you guys. I mean, I don't think what he's doing or what's being done will create something with a bad situation, but it just didn't follow our rules of law.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that if they get the conditional waiver from the neighbor property owner, that we're good.
Now, we've got, one other concern. I think the parish engineer needs still a little bit of structural analysis for this. And I know that,
This is preliminary, right? So they still got to get that to you before they go.
He's aware of that.
We have someone that would like to speak on this agenda item.
I'm excited about the location of the tower. However, I have one question. What would y'all think about allowing a
first responder repeater to go on that tower for free. That's a very dead zone up there for the first responders. It wouldn't take up much room, take very little bit of electricity. We could definitely use another repeater up that way. That fire department up there suffers. Right. That's actually.
My district, yeah, very excited about this too.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy. I'm outside attorney for AT&T, so I'd be happy. I can't say yes, they do it, but I'd be happy to follow up with that request. I know that they work with first responders and the public
I mean,
safety.
you can't speak entirely for the AT&T corporation.
Let me go make a call and I'll be back.
No, I'd just like to say I have the cabling, I have the antenna, the repeater, everything ready to go. If you
All right,
make that approved.
what I can do is follow up with their governmental relations person, David Audrey, who I think does the whole state and has this area.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Would you get back
Okay,
with
so-
Mr. Harrell on that, please? Would you get back with him on that?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we got a motion on the floor to approve the preliminary plat for this AT&T tower, conditional upon getting a letter of no objection from the adjacent property owner for our housing.
Correct.
And getting that repeater put on there for Mark.
I think that might be a little strong, but I mean, he gonna check into it, and we gotta take the man at his
I wouldn't
word.
foresee them having an issue with that for
I'll second.
community, you know, that's.
Got a second by Tracy Girlinghouse. Is there any body from the audience that would like to speak on this particular agenda item? All right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope.
All right.
Appreciate y'all very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Like we're gonna have better communication.
Let me just add one other thing. I have one of my colleagues runs Duck Unlimited's conservation easement program, so I was happy to see the high school here being a chapter. It's a good program.
Appreciate that.
Good parish in the high school, that's good.
First one in Louisiana.
That's all he knows, the first one did
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah.
Okay, guys, the next one, North Shore Concrete, it's been pulled by the developer. The next one on your agenda is Bent RV preliminary site plan. This is in Mr. Shane Mack's district off of Good Road. It is a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the preliminary site plan for Bent RV.
Is that across the street from Dixie's?
No, Dixie's actually Kingsville Parish.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
really?
no, yeah. Yeah, it's on the east side of the Talbot
Hunting
River.
Center.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Now this here is, you can see it, you're gonna be able to see it from the interstate, you know, but you're gonna have to go down James Chapel. There's a road called Good Road. It's a dead end, parish road, you know, that goes off James Chapel. I call it James Chapel North, you know, but, I think it's gonna be good for us. I went down there and looked at it, and it's a 28-acre piece of property, and looks like it's gonna be a good thing, you know, generate some good sales dollars, tax dollars, and happy for the people that's gonna develop it. I don't have no issues with it. They're not asking for any waivers, are they?
No, sir.
No, Just right next to Interstate.
I'll make a motion to accept.
All right, so we have a motion by Jeff Ard to accept the preliminary plat for this Bent's RV. Second by, who said that? Jeff Avery. Any discussion from the audience? Any from the council? All in favor? And, just for the record, the 12AB. Let's see.
C got pulled too, and I think they didn't renumber it, so.
A, B, and D were all in my area, you know, so my area's growing, so we need to pay close attention to making sure that it's developed right. I just want to throw that out there.
Might not work on that gravy over there, Shane, you grow
Right,
it quick, buddy.
we need to work on all that stuff. Okay, so 12E is, Kevin, you want to talk about that?
Yes,
I didn't mean to
that's
steal your time.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the servitude revocation. This is for Mr. Kevin Keller. It was presented by engineers Alvin Fairburn. It's in Mr. Bubbles' district. It's a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning Commission to approve the servitude revocation for Mr. Kevin Keller. All of the letters of no objection are in.
Okay, so Sandy, do you need to read this ordinance?
I do.
All right,
It's not gonna be fun.
we're ready for you.
Take a deep breath. This is proposed ordinance 20-1. Map showing revocation, dedication of 50-foot drainage service across lots 9, 10-A-1, -A, 11-A-1, and tract SC-1 surrounding crossing subdivision on Hammock Road, Sims Springs, Louisiana, located in sections 35 and 36, Township 7 South, Range 6 East, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, for Kevin Keller, being more particularly described herein, whereas by the official plat of map showing revocation and dedication of 50-foot drainage servitude located across lots 9, 10-A-1-A, 11-A-1, and tract SC-1 of surrounding crossing subdivision on Hammock Road, Sims Springs, Louisiana, located in sections 35 and 36, Township 7 South, Range 6 East, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, for Kevin Keller. And proposed public hearing is on January 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m.
That was a good first one.
That was really good. That was way better Scooter could do.
Oh, yeah, I've been a while.
For real, appreciate you reading that for us. Mr. Bubba, this is in your district. This is a drainage servitude
Yeah, if you look
revocation.
on
I've never
12
heard of that
If you
before.
look on 12E, it shows it.
In other words, they secured way more than they needed at the time, done drainage, and then they just want to get the rest of where they need. That's easy.
Well, it's coming down, and I went by and talked to Alvin about this. I went first on the location and looked at it. And I had some questions, so I went and talked to Alvin about it. And we got everything squared away. So I'm gonna make a motion to go ahead and accept this.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor to introduce this ordinance. This is a servitude revocation. It's a drainage servitude
Yeah.
revocation. So that was, motion was made by Bubba Harris, seconded by John Wascom. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? No one? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. 12F.
Mr. Chair, if I would, I think that's all. I'm finished up on that.
Oh,
Well, that's been deferred.
It's deferred.
Oh, okay.
Last one.
All right.
I'd just like to tell Mr. Jeff, and Mr. Tab, these guys got a tough area down there. They took on the challenge. Heck of a good guy, bunch of guys to work with. We enjoy it, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all.
you.
Okay.
Now we're back to
Now we're back to number 10, agenda item number 10. This is the parish president's report. Is there someone here?
I guess that's gonna be me.
You know,
You can bear it.
Wonderful,
John said that, that wasn't me.
wonderful Mark Carroll.
All right,
Beautiful Mark Carroll.
thank you, sir. I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, council. Before I get started, I'm gonna echo what Mr. Sam said. It has been a pleasure serving under you. Thank you.
It's
Appreciate it.
been my pleasure to work with y'all.
The first one is, we're asking for a resolution to confirm the appointment of Ms. Carol Stafford to the Florida Parish's Human Services Authority Board. This is a yearly thing. I don't know if she's here tonight, but the President's asking for that to happen. If you'd give us a resolution on it, we'd appreciate it very much.
All right.
I'll put that in form for those.
Got a motion by John Wascom. Got a second? Second by Jeff Ard to adopt a resolution to confirm the appointment of Carol Stafford to the Florida Parish's Human Services Authority Board. Any discussion from the audience? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not one. All right. 10B.
All right, authorization to execute and file an application for Council on Aging for a DOTD grant. And this is on behalf of Ms. Kay Granger. I don't know if Ms. Kay is here, but I think this is also an ongoing grant they apply for on a regular basis.
And the resolution's in your packet. It's for their bands.
All right. Is there a motion on the floor to authorize the authorization to execute and file an application for the Council on Aging? Motion by Tracy Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Bubba Harris. Any discussion from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 11A.
Oh, that's me, okay. The ongoing substantial damage project that was handed over us to try to get FEMA back in good graces with, and it's an introduction to an ordinance to amend Chapter 115. I think you have a copy of it. It took us a while to work everything out with Denton, Texas, and then it was sent on up to headquarters in D.C., and they approved this one part of the project that we're working on. There'll be several more things that we have to do, but this is the first one to meet our first deadline. So I just want to introduce this ordinance and see if we can get it passed.
And that's moving along pretty well to get us back in those good grades. Any questions? I know it's slow.
This is about this much that has to be accomplished, but I can tell you this, we couldn't ask for them to be a better partner. They have been over backwards to assist us. They actually have employees working on our behalf for free. So we've been blessed.
We're gonna get there, it's just gonna be.
It's gonna be a little bit.
Okay.
Step
Sandy, you
one.
want to read the ordinance?
Would you mind going to?
I have a copy of it.
You do?
Yeah.
Does it got stuck in the
There
copy?
it is right there.
Does everybody have a copy of it?
Well, no, but.
It's okay.
Look, this,
We're going to talk about it a little bit more.
go ahead, you go ahead and read it.
This will be proposed ordinance 20-2. This is an ordinance to amend chapter 115 to be called floods. Article 2 administration, section 115-44 of the Code of Ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston by adopting the Livingston Parish Substantial Damage Inspection Policy. The public hearing will be at 6:30 p.m. January 23rd, 2020.
Appreciate you very much.
This, we talked about this ordinance today in the planning, in the ordinance committee. And it's a pretty thick book, with respect to, policies and how this thing should be implemented, under what department it's being operated. And there were some concerns of the committee, and the committee actually made the recommendation to submit this thing to the ordinance committee for review. And since a new ordinance committee will be established in 2 weeks, that committee would then take it up and move through the process to make sure that everybody understood, how it was. We had sent it out to a couple floodplain people within the state and asked them for some comments. And they had sent us back a few recommendations of things that they thought needed to be changed and some concerns they had. So the committee was going to take up the review of this particular deal. Because actually the ordinance is to adopt the book. And there's some, we want to understand what the book says before we adopt the ordinance.
Read it before you vote on it?
Yeah.
It's a very, very serious booklet, this one.
It's going to tell us how, for the future of this parish, the next time we have an event, all substantially damaged property will be evaluated. And we want to be sure before we adopt that booklet that the council is comfortable with it. And so that's the recommendation was for the committee was to send it to itself. And it's going to be different. The ordinance committee is going to be different. Make no mistake of it. Once a new council comes on place. So, that's why we didn't take it up. Plus, we just got it in the email form, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, so nobody really had time to read it and digest it. So, I think it's going to get forwarded. Has it been forwarded to everybody on the council at this point in time?
Like you said, the booklet, we're talking about the booklet.
Yeah, the booklet. It's pretty thick. You need to take some time and read it and evaluate it and then look at it. There's about
40 front and back pages.
10 or 12 addendums to it of different, particular procedures that need to happen. you need to make yourself familiar with it so you'll have some understanding of what we're trying to
I
adopt.
don't think that hurt a thing.
Mr. Harrell, are we under some kind of time constraint on this?
We are, but I would recommend y'all go through every word on it.
I mean, have you been able to look at it as well?
Pardon?
Have you been able to go through it?
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, it's,
Please forgive me for
it's,
asking a silly question.
it's gonna be a requirement. This is the first step of what we have to do to get in compliance.
I guess my question is it one of these things where it's either all or nothing? I mean, is there room in there that we can make a few changes to fit our parish? If we do that, are they gonna reject it?
We've tried to give a lesser packet. They kept sending it back, turning it down.
And this is probably, by not having this in place, has been some of the problems that we had in the last flooding, trying to get reimbursement. Am I correct?
No, well, this is, if we do not comply, we will have issues with our flood insurance, we'll have issues with our federal grants and everything. We're gonna get in compliance. So it's gonna be different. Now, I'll say this, out of the 4,000 homes that they said that wasn't inspected, we narrowed it down to about 1,300 because they would have one address that says 4792 Highway 190 and then 4792 Florida Boulevard. So there was a lot of duplications in it, and we've got it down to a little over 1,000, and then a lot of those were demoed, and some of those were already mitigating because we either buy them or elevate them. So it's all working out pretty good, but it's a requirement, but it's going to be different.
What do you mean it's going to be different?
John, it deals with the permitting process to rebuild.
This book
after
does.
after the flood and such that.
Right, I guess my question, what do you mean it's going to be different?
Well, we're going to have to go out and inspect every home that's flooded. Then you're going to have to make a determination whether the home is substantially damaged or not. If it's substantially damaged, they're going to have requirements before they can build back 100%. They're going to have to elevate. Now, here's the thing. Let's say that you flooded.
I did.
And you're substantially damaged at this point, and the requirement is you must elevate. You can build your home back to around 75%, move into it, put you on a list for elevation. So when we get another grant to elevate, we'll elevate you. You pay the cost share, then you can finish your home at 100%. Then a lot of times, FEMA likes to use the rule that you have 13 inches of water in your home, 16 inches, whatever they come up with at the time. They want to call it substantially damaged, and then they want you to come in and prove that you're not. And substantially damaged simply means if your home, not your property, if your home is appraised at $100,000, if you spend $50,001 to repair your home, then you're substantially damaged. They also throw in the fact, now we have no say-so over it, let's just say it is $100,000, and to put you back in that home is $40,000. But you decide to do some substantial improvements, and you go over the 50% threshold, you're substantially damaged. So you have to tell people, I understand you want to improve, however, get back in your home and wait a year and do some work on it. You know, but this is going to be a requirement, guys.
Well, it needs the same requirements that were in place previous. I mean, I remember these same criteria that we had to meet before this ordinance.
Well, there were some things in place that we should have done that. However, we didn't accomplish that. And the only way they will accept it now is we do what we need to do by ordinance. They will not accept the resolution. They want you guys to say, we're going to comply, and you do it by ordinance where it's legal. And then we move to the next step and the next step until we get it all done.
All right. Do you think it's going to affect anything if we push this back to the next ordinance committee, we hash this out, maybe make the changes to fit our parish?
No, I just tell you, we'll submit whatever changes you want.
And see how that goes?
And see how it flies. They're not going to be very easy to sway to change this.
Thank you.
This is what people are doing now.
Well, they've probably seen it all and done it all, so what we come up with, they probably go, well, no, we already looked at that, and we can't do it like that. But we're not gonna do it like
We
that.
probably submitted this to Denton 20 times. And I hate to use the word water it down, but we tried to lessen the burden on us as much as we can and the burden on the people as much as we can. And this is the best we can come up with that they will accept.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Let's all look it over, give you guys on the ordinance committee, whoever it might be next time, some input, go from there. Yeah. Good
You want
idea.
to call for the introduction, and then we could make changes, or?
I think let's wait till we get it hashed out the way, you know. It might be that we don't do anything. I just think that everybody needs to be aware of what's going on before we introduce it. Take time to read it, talk about it, make sure we understand what we're.
You're going to get the
introducing.
calls. When they go out and say, I'm sorry, but you are declared substantially damaged, you're getting the calls.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's fact. So
Absolutely.
you need to know what's in it and know that, all right, it's passed now, it's law, we have to comply.
You know, my brother-in-law lived in the city of Denton. His home was declared substantially damaged. Then he had to go prove
That it was.
that it wasn't. That's, I mean, that's not a.
Right, I know. I
It's
dealt
not a
with it every
huge
day.
step
I mean,
either,
it's,
it's
it
something
wasn't,
to
it
learn.
wasn't as hard as you think it was,
Right.
but it is a step and it draws it out. And I think the parish determined at some point in time that we were more interested in getting our people back in the homes. And
Right.
if you remember, the city of Denham called some flack over their procedure at the time, but ultimately,
Yeah.
they
I was
did
one
it,
with the
they
flag.
did it, they did it.
And they did, and we got flack over that.
And they did it right. I agree.
So I don't think anybody denies that this booklet, it
No, it needs to be done.
needed in order
Yeah, it
to
needs
be
to be
done. I
done.
think we just need to be
Let's look
aware
at
of
it.
what we're
All right,
voting on.
yeah,
before we
let's
vote.
You need to know it.
Yep. So we don't need to do anything, just say we're gonna send it to,
The ordinance committee made a recommendation, so we can actually,
Alright.
you know, I don't know that we need to take any action. Do we need to take any action, Sandy?
No, I don't think you do if you just.
I gave it a number, but if you don't vote on it, the number is gonna go to the next.
So it's on the agenda, it's an introduction to an ordinance, we're deciding.
It's not introduced.
It's not introduced.
Exactly.
So we just move on to the next
okay,
agenda.
next.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna read the number for the next one.
We have, B is the District 5 Fire Station safe rooms. I'll say that we're blessed to get this. My friends at FEMA did not treat District 5, I don't think, fairly. After the flood, they wouldn't give them enough money to fix it. So they have been crippled terribly bad in working out of a trailer. So we're going to rebuild the station and do it in a way of a safe room so we can use hazard mitigation funding to do it. It's been approved. Quality Engineering has been selected to do the engineering on that. And I'm asking for a resolution to move forward with that.
Make a motion on that.
Second.
Okay, so we got a motion on the floor to pass a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter a contract negotiations and to sign an agreement with Quality Engineering to perform engineering services for the Fire District 5 Safe Rooms project.
Mark, that grant, that hazardous mitigation grant, wasn't there a budget associated with it?
Everything's associated with it, yes, sir.
Wasn't there a line item in there for engineering fees?
Yes, sir.
So could we make the resolution not to authorize the parish president to sign a contract not to exceed the budgeted engineering fees?
Let me just say, we never exceed it. We put the negotiation in there for one reason. And I've not had a problem here with the engineering firm, but we have it set up, phase 1 is engineering, phase 2 is construction. So when the negotiation part is to sit down with the engineering firm and say, okay, guys, this is how much we have for engineering. You can't exceed this. This is all the grant pays for. But the biggest thing is, can you do the construction for this amount? And if they say, yes, I can do it, then you go ahead and sign with them. I have seen it in other parishes across the state where the engineering firm says, it's going to take 3 times that to do what you want. So then you end up just going to the next one on the list, calling them in and doing the same thing. Well, that's all your negotiation is. You never exceed the grant allotted amount for phase one. Now-
So,
So you can make it to where not to exceed phase one funding.
and so that, but is there a line item for engineering on phase two, or is it just a line, who's the only engineering in the phase one part?
Only engineering, they know how, they'll show, but all they're getting is the contract for engineering. They'll have their budget to know, they better design it to fall within this budget.
I got you.
And we want that obligation from them before they sign.
I got another question too, just curious. It says 25% fire district match,
It is.
and that's funded by the fire district?
Yes, sir. Now, let me add to that a little bit. I don't know when it's gonna happen, so, but just so you know, if we move forward with it, we get the construction done, and the fire district pays their 25%, I'm hoping before they pay it, we get the 25% match. But it could come a year later, we get the match, and then we cut the fire department their 25% match back to get them out of that.
So where are we thinking we're gonna get that match from?
It's already set up through the governor's office that they're gonna allocate funding out of the 1.2 billion to cover.
On the watershed initiative money
There's some set aside, if you look at it, there's some set aside for covering a match on mitigation and on PA.
All right,
We've been blessed.
all right. We had a member of the audience that wanted to say something.
You gonna make
Accommodate me not coming up there.
Just talk real loud and state your name.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with that. Joe Kutrowski, I'm the fire chief of District 5. Most of you guys know me. First off, we appreciate it. And I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for Mark, we'd still be in the pickle 3.5 years later. Every time FEMA shut the door, Mark went to another door. He shut that door 4 or 5 times until we finally found some mitigation money to be able to make us whole. We have our 25% match. We put it up the day we applied to these grants a couple years ago. Our match is there whether we get our money back for our match from the state or not. So we're ready to move forward. We appreciate everything you guys have done for the last 3.5 years. And remember, Mark, we couldn't have done it without you. We appreciate everything you guys have done, stood behind us, and try and make the fire department whole again to protect the people that we serve. So, thank you.
All right.
We've got our money secured.
Appreciate that, Mr. Joe. There was a motion by Scooter King. This is agenda item 11B. There was a second by Mr. Bubba Harris. Any more discussion from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 11C.
All right, let me get my eyes focused, please. All right, the next one up is going to Mr. Lobell's district. Finally got it approved. It's going to be the Perrin Ferry Road improvement. It's basically the same thing that Quality Engineer is doing on Pine Bluff. There is a depression in Perrin Ferry. It doesn't have to be a major flood, but the people behind it can't get out. First responders can't get in, which is the major problem. So we finally got that approved. And then C.H. Fenstermaker was the chosen firm on that one. And we're asking for the same thing, a resolution authorizing the parish president to sign a contract.
So this once again has a budgeted line item for engineering, and you know.
All of these.
And you never exceed that in the negotiation.
We don't, look, on this one, just so you know, we're covered, the parish is covering the cost share, we will get it back. All this was put in your budget last year.
We didn't, okay, no, we didn't have any match money in the budget for 2020.
Jennifer says she allotted it, so, but we're gonna get our funding back, I can tell you.
Okay.
I'll
There's
make
a
that
motion by
Shane.
Bubba Harris.
I'll make,
Oh, my bad. You're making the motion.
Yep.
The motion's made by Tab Lobel. Seconded by Jeff Abrams. Is there any discussion from the audience on this? Any from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That was 11C. 11D.
All right. You ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm focused now. All right, we're asking for a resolution again, and this is the South Satsuma Drainage Improvement. This one is kind of important to get started because it's on your overlay program, I understand. And that's down by Mr. Gary Lewis's area. Culvert's in bad shape. The road program is going to do something with the culverts. We're going to straighten that out a little bit, put some ramp in. When it goes south of the road, it's set up to make a 90-degree turn. So it just sits there and backs back up. Road floods. It's another one of those that people have to go all the way around to get there. So we have this done. Fort Blata was a chosen firm. And we're going to take some corrective action on the creek.
So the match is the match from the parish again on this
Yes,
one?
sir.
Well, that might be, it's on south of the interstate?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's down there past that 90.
And it's right now, it's not far down where you get past
My
Mr. Gary Lewis's development on the right.
And there's also one right there by Koyah Baptist Church does the same night they're supposed to work on. I'll make that motion.
All right, motion on the floor by Jeff Favorite to adopt a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter contract negotiations and sign an agreement with Fort Blata. I guess I keep reading. To perform engineering services for the South Satsuma Drainage Improvement Project. Second by Bubba Harris. Any discussion from the audience? Any from the council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 11E.
All right, sir. Also, again, resolution authorizing the parish president to enter the contract. This is on Allen Bayou Relief Erosion Control. That's in Mr. Harris's district. It's just where this storm caused a lot of erosion in that area, and we're able to go in there and beef it up a little bit, and hopefully don't have that issue again. And that's All South Engineering was chosen.
Did all y'all, have y'all looked at the scoring packets, the score sheets on all these engineering things in y'all's packet tonight? I want y'all to look at something for me, if y'all don't mind. The first project that was awarded to, on the safe room, where it talked about background and experience of the firm. In that particular deal, Quality Engineering was awarded a 24 out of 30 by a particular person doing the evaluation. On the Perrin Ferry Road project, that same person doing the scoring awarded All South Engineers on the Perrin Road of 15. If you go to the South Satsuma Drainage Improvement Project, that same person doing the evaluation gave All South Engineering a 15. And then when you go to the Allen Bayou Relief and Bank Stabilization Project, that same person who had given Quality a 24 on background experience gave them a 15. And the same person who had given All South Engineers on 2 previous projects as background experience of 15 gave them a 25. And I'm concerned about the consistency of the evaluations because background experience is about the firm and their background and the experience they have as a firm. There's another area that talks about professional and personal qualifications and specific knowledge. There's another one that talks about the capacity to accomplish work in a required allotment of time. There's another one that deals with past performance in parish contracts. Another one that deals with the understanding of the project. And then there's, of course, the DBE evaluation, if somebody chooses to have a DBE. My concern is that the one that deals with background experience should be pretty much consistent throughout the evaluation because it's the same firm, their same background, and the same experience. The discrepancies or the variances that might be project to project are in the qualification and specific knowledge of a project, the ability to accomplish work in the required time, past performance on parish contracts, and specific knowledge in accomplishing or specific knowledge of the understanding of the project and the parish goals. And so, you know, if you look at that particular scoring thing and realize that there was a 10-point variance, you know, in those two scores, that averages out to a 2.5 point at the end of the project, at the end of the tally. If you go to personal and professional qualifications on the Allen Bayou and bank stabilization, quality engineering scored the highest. If you go to capacity to accomplish work in the required time, quality engineering scored the highest. If you look at past performance on parish contracts, quality engineering scored the highest. And if you look at the firm's understanding of the project and the parish needs, they scored the highest. My concern is that one score on background experience took the Gravity One engineering firm that basically has looked at the Allen Bayou relief, because it sits in, am I correct, Bubba, does it sit in Gravity District 1?
Yeah.
So we've taken the firm that does all of Gravity One's engineering, and they lose this project because of one score. I'm concerned about the evaluation and RFQ process. I'm disappointed that a firm that scores the highest on actual performance loses a RFQ evaluation based on what somebody perceives as their background experience, yet on another project, that same firm is given a score of 24. And on two other projects, the firm that was given a score of 25 was given a score of 15. Background experience is a fixed deal. You either do have a background experience as an engineering firm or you don't. It's not specific to a particular project. So, Mr. Harold,
It absolutely is.
Well, why are we have all these other evaluations about specific knowledge and ability to perform and evaluation of the needs if the background and experience is specific to a need?
You have every one of those criteria, you judge them on that, and you judge it on what's turned in their package. So let's just say that you're building a bridge, and a firm that's done 100 bridges sends it in, and we ask for 10 or so references on what they've done, their experience. But let's just say that they turn it in and they have one bridge on it, 2 bridges on it. The other 8 are sidewalk, a building, whatever. They're not going to get scored as high as a firm that may turn in 9 bridges and a safe run. And it is subjective, but they have to go through the packet that's turned in. They don't judge it. They don't go to their website and look it up. You know, they don't call them and talk to them. That would be unfair. They go through the packet that's sent in, and they judge them to the best of their ability. And just so you know, the grant coordinator that's doing that job doesn't score. They stay in their office. Another team comes in and scores. Each one scores individually. Then it's brought back to the coordinator. They tally it up. Then they tell me who won. Everything is done fairly, and it's done on the information that was turned in with their packet.
So when RFQ is sent in, that's what they get from any engineering firm or whatever comes in, and they'll put in what they think is pertinent to help them get that job.
They should.
They should. Okay.
They should.
Okay.
And
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Since one evaluation cost an engineering firm 2.5 points on the bottom score, yet in the actual performance of the contract, that engineering firm scored higher in every category. And that engineering firm has a very specific knowledge of this project because it resides within the Gravity Drainage District that they're the engineer for. Would it be out of sorts for us to award the contract to Quality and write a letter specifically explaining why we felt Quality was more suited to do this project?
no, sir. Now, if you choose to, what I'll do for you, you pass a resolution tonight authorizing me to manipulate the scoring, to give it to someone, and Monday morning, we will manipulate it and give it to the one you choose. Other than that, we're
Somebody could go to jail for that.
We're not asking you to manipulate the scoring. What I'm asking you is there an alternative to granting it to the engineering firm that has got, obviously, you know, in 4 of the 5 criteria was the highest scoring because they didn't have the DBE, and obviously has the most specific knowledge, the ability to accomplish in the required time, that has the best past performance on parish contracts and an understanding of the projects and the parish needs. More specific to the accomplishment of this project.
I understand. I do. I agree with your philosophy on that. In common sense, I 100% agree with you. However, to follow the federal procedures, I do not.
So you're telling me the federal procedure said that we have no option but to award it to all, you're saying on the record that we have no option but to award it to All South? That there's no room to write a letter explaining why we feel that Quality Engineering is better served to do this project than All South Engineers?
They're not going to give you a ruling on that until closeout. Then if they say, I'm sorry, this is your scoring sheet, you didn't follow it, you gave it to someone else, they could ask for your funding back. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't. I've seen too much where they've asked for funding back. I think we should follow our procedure. I understand your common sense take on it, 100%. However, the other firms scored a little bit higher.
Well, I tell you what, we could sit here and argue this all night long, but
We're not arguing, Mr. Butler, we're just discussing.
To give it to All South.
I'm gonna second it.
Okay.
They've done us right every time. I don't have no complaints with the way they
Oh,
score.
no, I don't think, there's any complaint from Mark. He's just asking if there was some other way with it being in the drainage district. You're outside the drainage district, then nobody has, you know, I'm sure that's what you were getting at, right, Gary?
But I had another one that you just approved, that, you know, that firm helped us with the application, as did Quality with this one.
Yeah, but
you can't give them credit for that.
But the firm that helped with that application didn't even make a submittal.
They did not.
Okay. I mean, I was aware of it. I mean, but they chose not to make a submittal, so you can't help them on that particular.
Well, and Quality helped. I'm not going to stand here and tell you they didn't. They very accommodated. Unfortunately, they didn't get that. They won Pine Bluff. They won the fire station. I'm sorry. I'm not going to.
I would like to see every single one in any drainage district, up to the engineers in the drainage district, because they got the most knowledge of what's going on in their district. But you're telling me that that's not really common sense. You would do that, but in the real world that don't work.
Morally,
which is
but you're dealing with the federal government,
right? And that's the
All right, so there's a motion on the floor by Bubba Harris, second by Jeff Averitt. This is to pass a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter contract negotiations and to sign agreement with All South Consulting Engineering to perform engineering services for the Allen Bayou Relief Erosion Control Bank Stabilization Project. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Hopefully no more from the council.
Is there funding, is the funding being, is the match on that being paid by Gravity One?
They have obligated to pay it. Again,
it says parish match.
Well, I think, I know, it says parish match on the fire station, I think fire station.
No, it said fire station.
Who's paying this, parish or Gravity One?
On this one, the gravity drainage.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Okay, yes, sir.
UPL at Gravity Drainage.
Come on up, Mr. Buford.
UPL at Gravity Drainage 1. I don't understand why we're going, when Quality is our engineering firm, every day in and out, they know this project, put the time in. I don't understand why the scoring, and who is scoring this? I mean, is it
who is this person scoring? It's her sons. It's my staff. The ones that's not handling the project at all. They're the ones doing the score.
Well, I disagree with the way the scoring is done, Mr. Harold, because I feel like quality's been putting the legwork in this whole project, and we're about to toss it off to another engineering firm we haven't worked with. And I'm not taking anything again, from them, but I feel like quality should be the one that handles this project. We put a lot of time in it as a district, and it's our money that y'all tossing to somebody else. That's my piece.
My only thing is, if we go against the rules, give it to quality, and they pull that money away from us, how long is it gonna take to get something else? And we've been working on this forever.
That's what I agree with.
Well, I find it kind of the district being a little, kind of shoved in the corner on this.
Well, I agree, but I don't want to lose this project.
I don't understand why some more can't be discussed about this.
I think we can pull the project completely if you so choose.
No.
We've worked on the project. We want to do the project, but it just, I'm just one man sitting in this audience, and this doesn't sound kosher. I've said my piece. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In the future, is there anything we can do in these drainage districts or is it gonna be with the federal government requirements no matter what?
You can't show partiality
You can't dictate.
to someone.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, the best way when you turn one of these in, it doesn't matter what the project is, when it asks for 10 samples, take all 10 for the same thing, and beef your RFQ up, because that's what you're judged on, because when you start closing it out, they're not gonna go and ask any questions about that engineering firm. They're gonna look at what was turned in, and it's just the way it's done,
And that you awarded it to the highest score thing based on this criteria.
Well, let me tell y'all, I will tell y'all, there's a council, there's an ordinance, sits on the book, section 2-15, and it says that under section C-2, it says selection or grading committee. Selection or grading committees for grants and other projects shall be appointed by the parish council in existence with existing guidelines for specific projects. The council reserves the right to defer appointed authority for a specific project. I think that this new council needs to take up whether we want to continue to defer the grading of RFQs to Mr. Harold's office, or whether we want to take it up ourselves. So that's just something we need to consider for future. That's all I'm gonna say. I guess we need to
Okay, so the motion was made by Jeff,
No,
by Bubba Harris, seconded by Jeff Averitt. We're definitely gonna call for a vote on this one.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Gurley-House,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
No.
Mr. Matt,
Yeah.
Mr. Wascom,
Yes.
Mr. Lavelle,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Averitt.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
you're absolutely right, and we need to look into that in the future with the new council. They want to change something.
Agenda item number 11F. This is a resolution to approve renewal of standby contract for disaster debris monitoring and management services. You'll find this in your packet. 11F. Go ahead, Mr. Wyden.
No, that's fine. It's the
Another
monitoring
word.
portion of it.
Do it.
Just need to renew it and get them ready for the upcoming storm season. It's their second go around. They didn't have to use them last year, but it's our standard standby contract that was approved.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the contract just to the period of April 2020 to coincide with the debris removal contract, and then let the next council determine if they want to move forward past the April contract with the debris removal and the monitoring portion of that contract. So we get them in compliance and coincide with each other.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to, let's see, pass a resolution to approve the renewal of standby contract.
Just to extend it to April 20.
So the motion is just to pass a resolution to extend the renewal of the Thompson Consulting Services contract for disaster debris monitoring and management services. And this extension would be to the period of April 2020. And the new council would need to, with Mr. Mark Harrell's direction, look at this before that to see if we're going to extend this thing to this April 2021.
So I was reading it wrong. So that, I thought it was worded wrong on here. So it's to extend it to April 2020, and that's when the debris cleanup people act contract comes out. We'd have to renew or
That's right.
look for somebody or whatever we wanted to do.
That's right.
I think that's a good idea. I'll second that.
We got a second by Scooter King. That original motion was by Gary Talbert. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item?
Mark,
Is there something from Mr. Tableau?
Do we have to, I mean, should we extend it to that date? Or,
It's a standard standby contract. And if you want to revisit it later, you're welcome to do that, but,
Mark, does that automatically renew for a whole year? Was the renewal provide for that, so we'd have to go back and?
what we do, we bid everything out for 3 years.
Right, I understand
And
that.
you do one, and then you do 1 year extensions.
Right, but the
So-
extension doesn't give us a 4-month extension. It says if you want to extend it, they get a 1 year. Typically, that's our contract.
Typically, yes, sir.
So, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't say we won't do it.
They're not.
Okay.
They'll do
It
it.
actually says, this contract here actually says to extend the contract period to April 2020 so that they both match up. That's what the,
Well, that's why I was reading it, because it just looked like, and then it was also, see that, I think it's written wrong. isn't it?
No,
Do you think?
the item agenda wants us to extend it to 2020 and also confirm it till April of 2021. So that they coincided with the debris removal. All I'm asking to do is extend it to 2020. Get them together, and then if we decide to renew both contracts, the new council, then we can renew them if we want
Or we
to.
can actually look for somebody else if we wanted to.
16 months.
Right.
that's right.
And you would just have to go out for bids again if you wanted to look for somebody. Okay. All right. That's what I thought I was.
Does anybody over here have anything to say about that?
Is that gonna throw a big monkey wrench in anything for you?
Sir?
Is that gonna throw a big monkey wrench in anything for you?
Just have to bring it back up again.
All right.
Anybody out there want to say anything about this particular agenda item? All right, we're going to call for the vote on this one too. So this is to extend.
To extend it for 4 months.
Just for 4 months.
we've always extended it for a year, correct?
Sir?
We've always extended it for 1 year.
Yes. But they all been out of whack.
They have been out of whack because after the 2016 flood, we almost lost a lot of money because of the past monitoring firm. So after that, we just had to bid it out again. It took us a year to get everything straight with the last one. We finally got all of our money. I didn't want that again, so we bid it back out. But if you want to do it, if you want to do it for 4 months, that's fine with me. That'll help us. We'll get everything lined up together at that point. I was just doing it.
So you wouldn't have to come back. We
So I
get
wouldn't
it.
come back.
Ain't no problem. We here.
I won't.
Y'all hush down on this end.
It's evident to me.
Okay, call for the vote.
Who made the motion second?
Gary and me.
I make a motion that Scooter said.
That's all I do.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Grindhouse?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Lavelle?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
I think that's it, Mr.
I
Harris.
think that's the longest you stay on the first page ever.
Thank y'all so much.
Awesome job.
Good
Be
thing.
safe.
Thank
Hey,
you, Mr.
Mark.
Mark.
Before, since the last time I get to ask this, can you give me a quick update on the Amite River project? I've been having people ask me.
Yes.
They're, which one?
Mouth.
The mouth, it's, they're doing the engineering,
Working on permitting, things like that. We're trying to do our negotiation now with the group that owns the island
Okay.
to build that wetland back out, save it. We'll worry about Ducks Unlimited and giving some more marshland. So that's what we're doing there. It's moving along. It's in the process.
Okay.
don't know if they have any ducks in Blind River.
Weir's in the process as well. So that one, and then Blind River's all in the same thing. So
Okay.
they're all moving. They're just slow.
Oh, yeah.
And they're gonna be slow.
Yeah, well, as long as they moving, that's good.
You're dealing with the Corps of Engineers, you're dealing with DNR. Well, actually, Wildlife and Fisheries has a say-so in it. It's in that area on the marshland and stuff, it'll involve everybody.
Mhm.
And it's slow.
What about your weir down there? I know we get calls about it still.
It's been, the engineer's been funded, you've awarded, it's working. It's just gonna be slow. Now, we were lucky, the Emmett River Basin Commission at one time had gotten a Corps permit to do the work there, and we're trying to slide it over and see. I think we're gonna design it a little bit different, where it'll last a little bit longer, instead of just throwing rocks in there. So we may have to modify that permit, but it's moving,
So
it's
you're
just slow.
thinking you may be able to use that permit to some degree?
I think
Okay.
it'll shorten our time frame.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Have a good weekend.
Thanks,
Game
Mark.
one.
Thank y'all so much, guys.
Thank you, and it's enjoyment working with you.
Take care.
Where you at now, Shane?
We're on page number 2, agenda item number 13. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-40. I will now open the public hearing. All right, Sandy, do you want to read this ordinance?
This is proposed ordinance 19-40. This is an ordinance to amend chapter 125 subdivision regulations, section 125-9 submittals, specifically related to the final plat and subdivisions with improvements and subdivisions without improvements of the code of ordinances in and for the parish of Brooks.
All right. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Oh, right. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Elise Chapman with the Home Builders Association of Greater Baton Rouge. I'm with the 8353 Valencia Court, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I just have one question for y'all. If this ordinance does go into effect, will the rights of the declarants be affected?
Say that again? I didn't
Will
quite
the rights
understand.
of the declarants be affected if this ordinance were to go into effect?
Is it gonna mess with their covenants and all that?
No, the rights of the declarants are the person that originally developed it and owned all the lots.
Yeah.
Is that my understanding, is what you're talking about?
So-
Because in essence, as long as the original developer still owns a lot, then he has some rights that are afforded him more than
If I bought it,
somebody else. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the question is, to answer a question, I think, Chris, that if we do this, then the rights of the declarant, he couldn't then subdivide a lot any more than anybody else could, except he could come before us and ask for a waiver. Is that a correct understanding of that, or would?
Yeah, I mean, what is your concern?
Or resubmit the preliminary plat with the changes.
I think they're concerned that if, a couple things. I think, and I had a builder call me on the phone today and talk to me about this. There have been subdivisions that have been developed and not been very successful, and so a whole filing will be sold to somebody, or a whole street will be sold to somebody, and they kind of change up subdivision. So my question is, if if this is done, then that really couldn't happen. You know, they couldn't then take a whole filing or section of subdivision and sell it and kind of reformat it without coming back before the council. But Chad, under our ordinance, under our subdivision deal, after a final plat is done, and they wanted to come, let's say they had, you know, they did a fifth filing of some subdivision and all the lots were 75 feet wide, and they wanted to come back and make them all 60. Would that, they'd have to go through planning anyway.
Oh, yeah, they got to do more than five, isn't it 5% change?
Yeah, that would probably end up being that kind of.
Yeah, major change.
I think it's 10%.
Yeah, if you have enough lots on that, yeah, it would make it come back.
So in essence, they could do that, but under the current guidelines, if they had a couple lots, you know how sometimes when you develop subdivision, you end up with some quote unquote cruddy lots, you know, the one by the lift station or the one by the sewer treatment plant, or, you know, I guess they're concerned that the declarant is stuck with those lots. He couldn't do anything with them under this ordinance without coming before the council. And that doesn't exactly exist under our current ordinance,
But to
does
me,
it?
that's what you want.
Not that I'm aware of on that.
Yeah, that's exactly what the ordinance is.
Well, I mean, I understand, I'm just wondering, I was asked if we would protect the rights of the declarant. And so, you know, that was the reason for, you know, of the building association coming and visiting.
And them
with us
guys are gonna
tonight.
get the question too, so I think they wanna answer it, so
I
you
think
can
if
tell
you,
them what.
I think to me, the ordinance is about if you change the original design of the ordinance, you gotta come back with a new preliminary plat before the council.
To me, it's about protecting the people who live there now.
Exactly.
You know, where I have the neighborhood that was laid out 30 years ago, bigger lots, and I have people who've come in, bought lots, and they've chopped them up.
Right.
And when people bought into that neighborhood, they had they should have a reasonable amount of expectation that their neighborhood won't change dynamically that much. You've got these big lots, all of a sudden they're coming there and hacking it up, putting 2 houses, 3
No,
houses.
we're not gonna protect it.
So, yeah, no.
But understand at the same time,
They can.
They can still
you
come
can
forward for a
always come
waiver.
back before the council and request, you know, under a common sense. Basically now, if something's 3 lots or less, we never know about it until it's done. And so if this ordinance is passed, at least if somebody wants to do it, we'll have the option of knowing it's being done and can then make an evaluation as to how it'll impact.
Well, and if it makes sense, like you
Right.
said, if they own a lot up front that, what you're saying.
They have some
station on it,
commercial
and they want-
value or
and they want-
something.
And they want to change that, you look at that and go, well, it doesn't affect necessarily,
multitude
and
of
there's
subdivisions,
everybody
yeah.
bought into this neighborhood. And, so, yeah, I mean, we all, like you said, we all said we would, waivers aren't a good thing, sometimes they are.
It makes sense.
So it still can be done, just has to be done for waiver to come before you.
It's possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it is
Can
possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You got her into it. She needed.
Is there any more discussion?
I think it's a good thing, like you said, is that people already there.
You want to make a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll
Okay,
close that.
yeah. Let's get this straight. We'll now close the public hearing. Got a motion on the floor by Tracy Gerlinghouse to adopt this ordinance. Got a second by Scooter King. All in favor? Aye. Is there anybody that opposes? No? All right. Agenda item number 14. Now, this is an introduction of an ordinance. Now, this is to amend section 50-3 speed of boats. Black Bayou at Chimblong. Waterway Commission recommendations. I put this on the agenda, but Tab knows way more about this than me. And did Mr. Pico and them get a chance to take a look at the ordinance after it was written with all the correct lineal footage and all that good, beautiful stuff?
And our legal counsel wished to add verbiage to it as well.
And the legal counsel took a look at it and requested we add verbiage, and we took care of all of that. And we still have time, even though this is an introduction over the next 2 weeks, if there was one little thing in there that wasn't quite right, that we could get it right before we actually adopted it. So, Sandy, do you want to read this introduction?
This will be proposed ordinance 20-2, ordinance to amend and reenact chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances in the Parish of Livingston, State of Louisiana, chapter 50, offenses, miscellaneous, section 50-3, speed of boats. Part C is set out more fully, specifically herein. The public hearing will be on January 23rd at 6:30.
All right, is there any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just wondering if there was any discussion from the audience on this. No? Is there any
Basically,
discussion?
just add another idle zone, going through the right, change idles, put idle zone where
Right.
Shenandoah and Black Bayou meet.
And Jeff, you would do that area, and you
I'm
in
honestly,
favor.
to be truthful, I've had several calls about this.
Have you?
Yes.
I mean, I go through there pretty often myself.
Do you?
Oh, absolutely. I got a camp right there.
Okay.
So I travel that pretty often. And I'm just wondering, he made the comment that there was actually some boating accidents there. Would the sheriff have a record of a past history of any kind of accidents, you think, there? Like the police department does at certain intersections?
I would think so.
They'd have to mark where it's at.
Between them and Wildlife and Fisheries, you'd think they'd have something.
I think they both.
John was a problem with all them accidents, probably.
Well,
Is that one of those things that it's busier now because of the other areas not, like the fact that Blind River Bar is closed down is
Yeah.
drawn attention to
People
that
going to
particular-
Black Lake
They go
Club
in the
now.
Black Lake Club.
I know, yeah, I know exactly. I go through
Popping out of that little,
every weekend.
from Black Lake through, Black Bayou and popping out right there.
I don't like to slow down like that.
That's because John, I remember John riding the jet ski, he rides
I
the boat.
don't like
He
to
rides-
slow down right there.
Well,
There's
let's use
nobody there.
Let's use a little common sense here.
Exactly. See,
Let's
some
use a little common
signage,
sense.
I think would be absolutely fantastic.
I agree, that is a bad curve right
Right,
there.
I agree. Some signage
And
saying,
I almost got in a wreck in there twice myself.
really.
And I wasn't driving like an idiot. But you get idiots that create problems
Well,
for good people,
yeah.
that's doing right.
And that's why we.
And that is a bad area. And
everything
the
else
calls
that
I've
we
had
do.
have actually been in favor of making that an idle zone.
Really.
I have not had one call that's wanting to not do
And
it
those calls have come since we've started talking about it?
in the last 2
Well,
weeks.
you know what? I'll support it then. I was, as much as I don't want to,
Much you don't want to sweat.
You know, this
but I
time
will
of the year,
support that because
this time of year, it's not bad.
no, it's slow. I went there last
But,
week.
but start coming April, May, June, July, August, September. It's like coming out of Interstate 12 right here on 63. It's a bad intersection.
That's the reason I don't fish down there.
You get knocked out.
You can't fish anyway.
All right,
Oh, I didn't
sounds like
say
we've got a lot
that.
of discussion on that. We've been 4 years.
I make the motion.
There's a motion by Tab Lobel, second by Jeff Averett. All in favor? Aye. Is there anybody that opposes this?
It don't matter now.
All right. Okay, agenda item number 15. This is an update on the Master Plan and Review Committee by Mr. Gerald Burns. Did I talk to Mr. Gerald Burns? This has been deferred.
Yeah, they just be here 2 weeks.
All right. So, number 16, this is a board appointment. This is the Waterway Commission. This is Mr. Tab Lobel's.
Hey, I got a couple of the guys that are, but they were here last meeting, Perry Piku and Eric Edwards. They need to be re-upped on the Waterway Commission, so I'll
yeah.
make that motion.
Okay, a motion by Tab Lobel to reappoint those two particular individuals. Second by Mr. Jeff Averett.
Look, I ain't complaining a lot. I just got a question.
Did you say you hate to complain?
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just looking here. Does the rivers only run through District 8?
Most of
No, just, use them up in our district.
yeah.
That's the,
What would you say,
My whole
John?
district's
You got-
surrounded by, got one river on the side of it, and
But you can't use a boat in it. It's
oh,
just
dude, they got people in there
in
using-
places.
Yeah, but I just was wondering.
Most of your traffic's in that area.
If you want to
The
go
bill
fast,
launches
come
in
down
there.
by our house.
oh, I
Would you
know.
get John to fund this?
Look, I fly through there, y'all. And
So you one of those that he was talking
Oh,
about earlier?
yeah, but I know where,
One of those idiots. No, for real. All right, let's get back to business, man.
All right.
Business.
Hit the gavel there, Bo.
All right, business.
So did we appoint that?
Jackson?
No, we didn't do that.
We hadn't done it yet.
So motion by Tab Lobel to reappoint Mr. Edwards and Mr. Pico.
Yeah.
Second by Mr. Jeff Averett. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? All right. Okay, agenda item number 17. This is request for a waiver intended for the allowance of permitting due to the restrictions of LP ordinance number 17-22, section 13-46.1. All right, so this is the prohibitions and restrictions of use for mobile home manufactured homes to be placed in a named subdivision that for the intent of on-site custom-built single-family homes. Mr. Bubba Harris's district is District 5, and this address, Oak Ridge, 1100 Oak Ridge Drive, Denham Springs, Louisiana, is in his district. So, do you have anything to say about this, Mr. Bubba?
I went and looked at it, and I don't know how many old homes they already have in that area. So I'm for letting them go ahead and put it.
So there are mobile homes in that subdivision.
Oh, all right. I guess.
We ain't been in the district.
I guess.
Motion by Bubba, is that a motion by Bubba Harris?
Is that,
Motion by Bubba?
Is that I guess or I guess?
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor by Bubba Harris to grant this waiver to allow them to put this mobile home at this address. Second by Scooter King. Any discussion from the audience? All in favor? Whoa, excuse me.
Was that put on any agenda for the public to?
It's on the agenda tonight.
Yeah.
No, I mean, any other discussion, public discussion went in on that?
What time?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's on tonight.
just because, I'm, for my own personal, just because, it sounds like some previous work we were talking about, just because there's some trailers, means that we're gonna allow more trailers?
That's the way we've
The
done
way
it.
we've been
Well,
operating.
I guess, Mr. Beaver, you gotta
We
go back.
probably don't have 3 houses in that
You
subdivision.
gotta go back to the origin of this ordinance. This ordinance came about because of the flood in 2016 and a house that got demoed in a subdivision full of houses.
And y'all allowed them to put a trailer?
We didn't allow them, there wasn't any
Oh.
ordinance to address it, somebody rolled a trailer in.
Okay.
And so consequently, we wrote an ordinance to try to restrict it. However, there is no legal term to define a subdivision. And everything is a subdivision of something. So consequently, if something hasn't been before us before in a particular subdivision, then it has to come before the council. The councilman then has to go out and make an evaluation as to whether everything, this quote, the covenants have been violated already, or that never was intended for that purpose. And so they issue them now on subdivisions that we've already addressed, but there comes a time when there might be a lot in something we hadn't addressed before, and we've got to go make a judgment call on whether, on each individual situation.
So in other words, in Plantation Estates subdivision,
It'll never
happen. As long as I'm kicking, it ain't gonna happen.
No, I mean, and that's what,
But
that's
this
what
is protected.
This is the only thing we got to protect.
Plantation, do they have an HOA?
Yes, they
There's a
do.
lot of neighborhoods, older neighborhoods that don't have HOAs, but don't have any trailers in them.
Right.
And if you're outside of a municipality, and there's no active HOA, and if their house burns down, or they have their empty lot, they could have put a trailer in there before 17-22.
Yep.
We put this ordinance in place to go.
To stop it.
No.
Yeah, we don't
so
certainly
that, so
allow
like,
that.
so every
An example is, you know where Plantation Park's located?
I do.
Okay. I had a constituent to give me a call about a mobile home in there. Well, I rode through it and looked, and I didn't see it. And the ladies were walking that called me. And I said, I didn't see a mobile home. And Miss Ida, she's always on my case. She said, Mr. Harris, you better get you some more glasses. But I went back around, and yes, there was a mobile home there. Sometime between that afternoon and the next morning, somebody went there and moved the mobile home out. That quick. So now, there's no mobile homes in there.
This ordinance was created to protect you.
Yeah.
And so
You explained it well.
we try to just
we're good.
come back later.
We tried, look, we worked on this thing for
Months.
6 months because we said, well, no, permitting ought to be able to handle that. They said, well, we don't, you know. So that's the best thing we came up with. If somebody requests one, we go out, check it out. Usually the ladies give us a Google view of it, and you go, well, there's 15 trailers and 3 houses. I think they're good, you know.
Yeah.
If they give us one on plantation, I would not tell you that there could never be a trailer in there, because a hardship case, their house might burn down, and they need to put something in there.
Yeah.
But they would have to have a
Like
time
the
limit,
flood.
and they would have to leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing.
It'd have to have it, it'd have to have an expiration date.
Absolutely, and that's what we looked at. So, all right.
Good job.
You made a motion?
Mr. Lowe made a motion. Somebody over here made a second. Peter King.
Number 2 over here.
And,
There's no-
all in favor? Any opposed?
Said that with
Sorry,
authority.
help people along there.
Okay. Agenda item 18. This is discussion and adoption of a resolution to authorize waiver and variance for LP 19-03 adopted on January 24th, 2019, amending section 13-57 drainage and drainage impact study of the Code of Ordinances that prohibits subsurface drainage. There's an address at East Ridge subdivision. This is 31400 North Corbin Road, Walker, Louisiana. This is in Mr. Jeff R., District 1 District.
Yes, I talked to Mr. Sam about this. There's a good bit of work that needs to happen in this area for them to be able to do that. So I don't have a problem with giving them a waiver to do the subsurface drainage if everything that DPW says has to be done is done.
Do they need to do that first, Jeff, or?
Yeah.
In order to do it, they have to do it first. That's what Sam's saying.
You want to wait, or you want to try to word it?
So the stuff that needs to get done is the stuff that the resident has to do, or is it stuff that has to get done by the parish? Some of those?
Well, I think one of the particular deals is based to make it work, there's a downstream culvert to get cover and make it grade. The culverts need to be set deeper, which means the downstream culvert needs to be addressed. So I get it, in a sense, Jeff's wanting to approve it if the scope, if all aspects of the scope of work are
They do
done.
all the scope, then they can put
And they can put their
So-
subsurface.
So you're gonna let DPW define the scope, and as long as they meet DPW's scope, then they can do, they
Long
can
as
have a
Sam
permit.
signs off saying that they've done everything that they told them had to be done, then they can put their subsurface.
Okay, we can word it like that. All right, so there's a motion on the floor to grant this waiver at 31400 North Corbin Road, Walker, Louisiana, 07785, conditional upon DPW director approval that all the preliminary work to install this type of thing, you know, per the scope of the DPW director is completed previous to the installation.
All right, you
Got all
got
that,
that,
Sandy?
She'll get it later.
Second by anybody?
I did.
Tracy Girlinghouse. Any position there from the audience? Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, district attorney report?
My only report is to say thank you to my table mates here. I want to add my heartfelt thanks. You guys represented your constituents well. You made some very hard votes, but you always did it as gentlemen and with a lot of grace and style, and I appreciate working with you, and I hope we'll stay friends.
Wow, fantastic.
You ain't gonna say that when I leave.
I bet he don't.
That told me
Nobody's
to
gonna say anything. All right, committee reports. Ordinance committee?
We had a little meeting today, and I think we're gonna, we recommended that everybody on the council look into the handbook on substantial damage. And when the new council is seated and all those people in the ordinance committee are appointed, then we'll whoever is the chairman will move forward with addressing that. It's been a pleasure to serve as the chairman of the ordinance committee this year.
Did a fine job, too. How about it, Tracy, finance,
We didn't meet.
we didn't meet?
Meeting was pushed off to the 23rd.
It's got a meeting on the 23rd. last time. Is there any councilman comments?
I got some.
Right, Mr. Jeff.
I'd like to say thanks to the three ladies I've worked with the last 4 years. I appreciate it. They made my job a lot easier, a lot of help. 9 guys up here, lifelong friends.
We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'll
miss
miss
you,
y'all.
Jeff.
I echo that.
Thank you.
Y'all ladies made our life easy, man. You just, whatever you needed, you called, and they were on it. And, I had an email within minutes a lot of times, so.
Sometimes before you hang up.
Yeah, that's right. So, I really appreciate it.
Lauren's not here, but I want to thank her too.
Yeah.
Lauren not been feeling too good
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't look real surprised.
from
Yes.
migraine and causing her grief.
I got a comment.
Okay.
I'm gonna miss both of you guys, but that ain't the comment. Go Tiger.
Well, I'll tell you what, I
Y'all
don't think
gonna win this
anybody
thing.
on this board could have handpicked anybody out there
That's right.
to do a better job than what y'all did.
It was a pleasure to
Appreciate it,
get to
brother.
know y'all more, and you'll be severely missed, and look forward to being lifelong friends. You ever need us-
Hopefully y'all have more time with your families and things like you need in your businesses, and you can take care of that, and maybe in the future.
I want to have to
Come
lay my
back.
hog hunts on Thursday nights and
Oh,
then
you
I
can't
can
be
roll
gone.
out.
If my boat breaks down on the river, I can still call him.
Yeah, you still.
I'll be the first one there.
I done called him. He done
John's
called me
gonna come
once.
through shooting holes in the
I
boat.
think we missed a meeting, didn't we? We missed a meeting or was late.
I'll roll up in ordinance committee,
Yeah.
short
See,
one.
John,
Yeah,
you see John speeding down there at Jim Brown?
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Got a motion on the floor to adjourn. Second by Tablo Bell. All in favor? Any opposed?
All right.